Hello and welcome to episode 125 of the Perth to Paisley podcast, a podcast dedicated to a managerless Heart of Midlothian as a result of the Jambos' 2-0 defeat to St Mirren at Tynecastle on Saturday. Joining me, Adam Kennedy, to discuss the Men in Maroon's latest defeat, amongst other things, is Daniel McIver. McIver, how are you, mate?
All right. How's everybody doing after the weekend? Outside of football, doing really well. Within Hearts, just sad and remorseful. And I just don't. This is going to be an interesting episode. We've been speaking for the longest we've ever spoken before recording, just to peel back the curtain. Neither of us know what this episode is going to be like. It's probably going to be the longest of the season, so strap in for that.
Possibly the longest ever. It's going to be all over the gaff.
Yeah,
so strap yourselves in.
Yeah, we don't know what's happening, but generally, I'm all right in life. How are you?
That's good. Well, do you know what? That's a consolation, at the very least. You know, the soap opera that is Heart of Midlothian Football Club, it doesn't always go well. So as long as you're doing well, that's great. I'm all right. My missus is away to Switzerland. She's visiting her pal and her family out there. So I've currently got the gaff to myself, and I can't lie, there is nothing better than that. So that is one thing. And I'm not back to uni for another week. So yeah, I mean, life could be a lot worse. As is seen by most of the goings on in Gorgie. Right. I don't. Let's just address the elephant in the large elephant in the room. Yep. I'm just going to read Hart's statement as was released. So we're recording Monday the 10th of April. This was Sunday the 9th of April at approximately 5 p.m.
Yep.
Heart of Midlothian Football Club can confirm that it has parted company with manager Robbie Neilson. Robbie has been a key part of the club's ascent back to the upper echelons of Scottish football, delivering another championship title, a third-place finish, 2 Scottish Cup finals, and European group stage football in the process. This was an extremely difficult decision to reach, and we would like to thank Robbie for all of his efforts. A full statement from the board of directors will be released in due course. No further comment will be made today, i.e. yesterday. This came not out of nowhere, given the honking run that Hearts were on, but I was somewhat surprised by the timing, given we've got a massive Edinburgh Derby next week that we are no doubt both absolutely bricking our pants for. McIver, you obviously adore Robbie.
Mm-hmm.
Just give me your thoughts as to what happened on Sunday evening.
So
Easter Sunday evening.
Easter Sunday, it's meant to be a day of rest and celebration. What is this? And in fairness, it seemed that a lot of Hearts fans were celebrating. So
that's true.
I was in my house. I was doing my dishes. I finished doing my dishes. I came through.
What did you have for your Easter Sunday tea?
I had a ham joint.
Oh, nice.
It was
lamb
very
chops.
nice.
It was very nice. Good. I was up the road and ransacked the parents' gaff and then
very nice.
So yeah, it was good. Very
nice. So I finished all that and was like, right, I'll just go through. Sat down at my computer, and because Twitter's shit now, you automatically go onto your For You tab.
Hate that tab. Elon needs to get the finger out. Oh, he has ruined that app to an extent.
He's a prick in all aspects of life.
Please
anyway, bring it on, Elon. Come on. And you see the For You tab, and suddenly it's just filled with, are the rumours true? Is Neilson away? What's this about Neilson away? What's all happening? And that was about the back of 4, 4:15, something like that. Then, as you say, at 5 o'clock, confirmation happens. And listen, if anybody's listening to this podcast for any period of time, Robbie Neilson has basically been the only manager that has ever been at the club for us doing the podcast, because we did our first 4 episodes when Stendhal was in charge, but then we took a 9-month break and came back. And since we've been doing weekly shows, Neilson's been in charge. So for us as a podcast, we've only ever really known one manager. And out of the two of us, as you say, I am definitely known as the more pro-Neilson guy. And basically, I can understand why the decision was made. the run we've been on is unlike a run that Neilson's ever experienced in the top flight. Yes,
I think it is statistically the worst of his entire tenure over two spells.
We had a situation last season where there was a dip, but then we changed stuff. Ellis Sims comes in and all that, and we kind of go, it's fine. We just had that.
I think ironically it was St Mirren away, was it not?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
That changed it, the 2-0 win.
It was February, I know. February were rubbish last season, and it ended up being fine. It is not the case this year, and I totally understand it. And there's very much a part of me that is glad that it's happened now before it can get to Levine levels of poison.
Toxicity.
Yeah. That Craig Fowler did an article today where it's like, sad to see it happen, but it's the right time. Which maybe is right. Maybe is right. We probably will we'll never know, because we won't ever know now if Neilson would have got us third. Who knows? But all it is for me is that Robbie Neilson's my favourite Hearts manager ever. I know he's not given us a trophy. Well, he gave us the 2 championship ones, but in terms of a major trophy. But I was 9 months old when Jeffries won the Cup in '98. I was 7 years old when we won it in 2006, and I don't remember a manager as a part of that. I just remember a few players. And in 2012, obviously, Sergio gives us that, but he wasn't here long enough to get that kind of connection you get. Whereas...
And there was a fear about the club's future.
Afterwards. Yeah, exactly. There's so much else going on. The season as a whole was not a success under Sergio. The moment, however, was still the best day of my life as a Hearts fan. But my 2 favourite seasons overall are the 14-15 championship season under Robbie's first tenure and last season under Robbie's second tenure. So the 2 best seasons of me being a Hearts fan, Robbie's given me. He is statistically the best Hearts manager in my lifetime and will go down as one of our best managers ever. People may not like that, but it's just facts. Like, he absolutely will do when you look at what he's done for us. And he was brought in to get us back to the top flight and back competing in the league. And he did that and more. He did that perhaps quicker than some expected to as well. And I'll always be thankful for him. I'm so glad that this season he ended like his hoodoo at Easter Road and all that. He broke the McDermott Park situation and all that stuff.
He even beat Kelly at Tynecastle.
He couldn't beat them away from home, but he beat Kelly at Tynecastle. So many things. So I'm so thankful and so grateful for everything he's done for the club. But was it the right time? Maybe. We won't know.
Wow.
Because it all depends what happens now for the next 7 games. Yeah. But I'm getting ahead of myself. What did you think when you saw the news?
It'd be easy. It's such a lazy narrative to then say, well, it's the right appointment if we get better in. Ultimately, as you say, there's that much uncertainty with regards to who does succeed Robbie that, like, I've not got a crystal ball. I can't see into the future. I don't know if we get third, fourth, if we stay in the top 6, if we finish 5th. I don't know. But what I do feel is that, again, her last episode was titled Barking Performances. This has been coming to an extent.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Neilson is solely to blame. I really
don't think he is at all.
I think look, I've made my feelings clear on Robbie. I wasn't his biggest fan. But again, I've been fairly consistent, and I've always appreciated his first tenure. I thought his first tenure was great. I really did. It was one of the special periods in my life outside of Hearts and being a Hearts fan. Great times, really great times. The second tenure, he's met expectations. He's arguably exceeded expectations last year. I feel as though, and I might get slewed for this, that he is a victim of his own quote-unquote success, or that he's probably finished third too soon. And he's probably raised Hearts' expectations to such a level whereby, he led us to European group stage football for the first time in 18 years. That jackpot of dough that we haven't seen for a good wee while, besides, obviously, fan contributions, be it your everyday punter and James Anderson and whatever. But my point is, he has done a lot of good for the club. I can't deny that. I cannot deny that. But the scary thing now is we have to get this right.
Yep.
We have to get this right. And I'm not talking about for the rest of this season. I'm talking then into next.
Yeah.
Because the board are obviously gambling here. We want to finish third again. We want European group stage football again. We've had that taster. We want to go ahead with it. If we don't get to that promised land, then what happens?
Mm-hmm.
Hearts are a soap opera, and it feels like we've lost a member of the family. It's whether they return again, having previously been killed off in EastEnders. Dirty Den was back about 5-6 times. Is Robbie a Dirty Den and will come back? I don't know.
We'll be relegated inside 4 years and he'll be back again. Get us back up.
We'll drop to League One and a back-to-back, Robbie.
Exactly.
I don't know. I just look, for some have got their wish. The proof's in the pudding from here on in. It's going to be not like I said. Strap yourselves in for this episode. Strap yourselves in beyond this episode. Yeah. Don't let the seatbelt go after this is done, because this could be very, very interesting as to what happens next.
I think, ironically, he's not here, despite seeming to be on every other episode. Richard Cobb summed it up quite well.
Oh my God, we're not mentioning him.
I know, but we have to, because he was quite spot on. But he was like, he feels really sad, but he does feel it's the right move. And I can understand that mindset, because we will get into it. We're not just not going to speak about the game, because I especially have a lot of thoughts on the game in regards to individuals. I've never seen a collapse like that at the weekend under a Neilson side in the top flight.
I know that those that know me personally might think that I'm one of those that's basking in Robbie's sacking. That's not the case, because now the pressure's on for Hearts to get this right and to justify their decision for sacking, as you say, one of our most successful managers.
I think what Saturday proved was that it is at least if you go by the stadium. I know that there's more Hearts fans than can fit in Tynecastle, obviously.
You're going to say it's no longer a minority, isn't it?
I was going to say it was very much the majority opinion in that ground that they wanted him out. Or maybe, I'm just saying, it's the vocal median. It was that more people wanted it than less. Maybe it's not the majority. Yeah. I don't know. What is a positive to come out of this? Now, it might end up being a negative, but a positive is that the board has listened to what feels like the majority of fans quickly.
I have to say, I'm very surprised that Hearts have pulled the
trigger. That's the main feeling that came yesterday, where it was just of shock.
And I've been very critical in the past of Hearts being sentimental on one too many occasions. This is the board acting like a big club, so let's get a manager befitting of a big club that the board obviously believe that we are. Yeah,
definitely. And a nice segue here into the statement from the board. I felt like it's a very good statement as well.
Are we going into the statement today as in for the rest of the season? You mean? Yeah. So before we obviously came on air and started recording, Andrew McKinley did release this statement as CEO. On behalf of Heart and Midlothian Football Club's Board of Directors, I'd like to provide clarity on the events of the past couple of days and offer an update on the short-term future of the managerial position. Everyone connected with the club was bitterly disappointed with the outcome of Saturday's Cinch Premiership match with St Mirren. We had all hoped that things would turn around sooner rather than later, but results and performances over the past 7 weeks have been unacceptable, and there is no sugarcoating that. At full time on Saturday, we found ourselves at a crossroads, and the board took the extremely difficult decision, after much discussion, to make a managerial change in order to get back on track and refocus our efforts on clinching third place in the league. I do not need to remind anyone just how pivotal a figure Robbie Neilson has been in this club's journey back to the top of Scottish football. His commitment to Hearts has been unwavering, and he deserves every plaudit for guiding us back into the top flight 2 Scottish Cup finals to 3rd place last season and into group stage European football. Robbie, along with Lee McCulloch, will forever have our gratitude for those achievements, which is why this was such a tough decision to make. However, we simply could not ignore the results and performances. The board is here to make difficult decisions and act in the best interests of the club, which is what we feel we have done by making this change at this time. I am delighted to say that Stephen Naismith has agreed to take over as interim manager until the end of the season. Stephen has played the game at the highest level possible and has taken great strides forward in his coaching career with the club's B team and at international level with Scotland. He will be assisted by Gordon Forrest, who I am pleased to say has agreed to remain with the club, and Frankie McAvoy, who has a wealth of top-level experience and has built up a great working relationship with Stephen through the B team. We have great faith in Stephen, Gordon and Frankie, and will give them the best support possible as we aim to finish the season as strongly as possible. We enter a crucial period of the season with 2 games remaining until the split, followed by a further 5 matches. With what is at stake, it is no exaggeration to say that we are facing 7 cup finals. We had a taste of group stage European football this season and have, in many ways, reaped the benefits. Our aim has always been to repeat this feat, and that target has not changed despite what has transpired recently. Our supporters have backed the team in magnificent fashion in huge numbers, home and away, all season. I asked them to continue to do this, to get behind Stephen, Gordon, Frankie and the team for the remaining 7 games and help us to achieve our goal. By standing together, we will give ourselves the best chance of winning football matches, building momentum and reclaiming 3rd spot and the prizes associated with it. Good, strong statement, that.
It's a very good statement. It simultaneously explains why the decision was made. It backs itself, if you know what I mean. It's saying that we
giving
believe
justification, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And most crucially, it informs us of what the plan is for the remainder of this season. Now, as I say, in a bubble, because it could end up by the end of the season, we don't get top 6, and we go, what a disastrous idea this was, we've knackered this. But as of today, the 10th of April, I think every Hearts fan is in agreement that's a good statement. Even if you disagree with Neilson being sacked, I think it will be like, well, that's at least we've got justification. It's a lot of clarity.
It's like their decision's final.
Yeah.
Like that's.
It's like, okay, we'll go with you on this.
Yeah.
Right, fine. Do I think it will work? And by that, do I think we will get 3rd? No. Do I think we would have got 3rd if we had kept Neilson? Also, no. I don't think we're getting 3rd. I said this last week. A large part of that is because I think one of the biggest issues is the players, which we will then come into in the game. And it's perhaps players that are available and players that aren't available. If Ross Stewart has to be in goals for any sustained period of time, we could, as I said last week, we could have Pep Guardiola or Mikel Arteta. We're not getting 3rd. That's not.
Interesting. You're shoving Arteta in that same bracket.
Well, Arteta's currently
I'm not going to argue. You.
My point is, I don't think Stephen Naismith will get us to 3rd. Am I fully behind him, and do I want him to prove me wrong?
100%.
More than anything on the planet. I just, before we start recording, sent a tweet going, it's so unfair on Naismith that this has fallen to him. It's not his fault. It's not his responsibility. Well, it is now his responsibility. What I mean is, it's not down to him if this works or not. He shouldn't. I don't think he should have a lot of blame.
I'm astonished that you, as a Hearts and Newcastle fan, have not made the direct comparison between when Alan Shearer came in as interim manager and was emptying essentially the Titanic with a bucket.
It was coming. Because what I was about to say in a minute was, my first Newcastle game was under Shearer's tenure.
Oh, here we go.
Got beat 1-0 at St James's Park by Fulham.
Oh.
And it was when Shearer turned to the Gallagher and apologised at the end. And the whole stadium was like, it's not your fault, Alan, for God's sake. So I would not, regardless of where we finish, it's not Stephen Naismith's fault.
No.
But if we get 3rd, he's like a hero.
Yeah, he'll be reaping the 100%. This was inspired. It's a masterstroke.
Yeah, 100%. There's basically, it's a lot of pressure on Naismith, but he almost is in a no-lose situation. Because if we don't do it, people will go, it's the board's fault for not emptying Neilson sooner. Should have got somebody else
I have absolutely no doubt that he'll shoulder blame off some people. That's
probably
an
probably.
absolute cert. I
True,
can guarantee you that.
Probably. But I hope Naismith proves me wrong completely. I hope he goes in, smack. Listen, I love
Stephen Naismith.
Yeah,
he's one of my favourite Hearts players ever.
100%. He's beloved as a player for us in a way that I think one individual wants to be beloved, that we'll get to, but will never be at that level. And now he has a chance to just be like your first stint into proper management. You could get Hearts third.
I was going to try and get the wee perfect segue in there and say that previously I thought that our Tynecastle fixtures would perhaps carry us to third, as was the case on Saturday, but we'll go around the grounds first.
Yeah.
Of course, there were 4 other fixtures taking place on Saturday, the first of which took place at Parkhead. No away fans present, as Celtic won the third of 4 Old Firms in the Scottish Premiership this season by a 3-2 scoreline. Annoyingly, Aberdeen just continued to motor on. Kilmarnock, you're the real villains in all of this. Bloody beating us in Ayrshire and continuing your piss-poor away form, conceding inside 20 seconds. As the Dons won 2-0, just as I predicted they would. Can I just say, it was just, again, that's their last 2 results I've called spot on, 1-0 and 2-0.
Well, then why don't you start predicting losses? You're clearly in control here.
No, because I thought that Hearts would get at least a point on Saturday, and look how that turned out. Motherwell, a result. I fancied Motherwell to beat Livingston, but certainly not by a 3-0 scoreline, as they did at Fir Park. The fact that Motherwell, who were getting relegated all of about 3-4 weeks ago, are 9 points behind us is nothing short of an embarrassment. Fucking hell. Now, speaking of sides that are getting relegated, St Johnstone look as though they could be in a bit of bother. Yeah. Ross County have boosted their survival hopes courtesy of a 2-0 victory in Perth. St Johnstone are rubbish at McDermott Park. It's no wonder that we beat them, given I think they've won literally about 2 or 3 games at home all season. And speaking of sides that boosted their chances for the drop, there was one match that took place on Sunday. Dundee United getting the better of Hibernian by 2-1 at Tannadice, courtesy of an opener from Stephen Fletcher, who'd have thunk it, and a Jamie McGrath penalty late on. McIver, what did you make about the other 5 fixtures within the best league in the world?
I want to leave the Hibs game until the end of the episode.
Fair enough.
Because I have a few points I want to make on it that will play into our preview.
Okay, that's fine. We can just alienate Sunday's fixture.
Yeah, exactly. St Johnstone are just a mental side. I don't know what's happening. I think Callum Davidson will be sat going, how have I outlasted Robbie Neilson? I think Lee Johnson will be thinking that and all, to be honest.
I tell you what, Callum Davidson should have jumped when the opportunity was there, if it did present itself. Yeah. That just looks like, like the whole Batman theme where it's like you either die a hero or live long enough to become the villain. Yeah. Callum Davidson is 100% a villain.
He's done that now. Ross County starting to pick up form just before they play us. Hopefully it continues. Typical. Hopefully it continues to Friday night and they get a massive result against Aberdeen.
Very true.
I'm on board with that. Motherwell just are turning it right. Kettlewell is just a god.
Kettlewell is in full flow.
Kettlewell ball is really amazing. I saw Martindale took the heat onto him. He was like, "It's my fault."
What has happened to Livy?
I don't know. I know
it's the same last season. They sort of capitulated towards the end as soon as they were on the cusp of top 6, and then they lost it in the dying embers of their last game.
Yeah,
it seems like again it's just happened this year.
I have no idea what's going on. And then was there any other game apart from the Old Firm?
Aberdeen.
Oh yeah, Aberdeen. Shut up! I don't want to speak about them.
Yeah, nobody does.
I just don't want to pretend they don't exist.
Honestly, then, that mob were beat off Darvel. How can the same team just be on such a good run now?
I will say, it isn't the same team.
Like it is, but it's not.
They brought and again,
it's
really
like
good players and manager.
It's like what we'll come on to.
Yeah, exactly.
Players that I hate the phrase down tools, but
yeah, it is a different situation to the
I
side.
mean, Liam
that
Scales looks like Beckenbauer now.
Yeah, exactly. Like all this kind of part that's really fucking annoying. And then, John Suter basically is where I am in regards to. I didn't watch it. I never watch Old Firms because I don't care.
No, I didn't know, but I've listened to it on the radio. But
I've seen the goals. It's a great free kick for Tavernier.
What did you make of the disallowed goal?
I can understand why it was disallowed. I can simultaneously understand why you'd be fucking raging if it happened.
I think it's Patter.
But it's still funny. Because that's what you want. From a neutral's perspective in Old Firm, you just want funny shit to happen because you don't care who wins.
At least one of them sets of fans wound up. If not both.
Yeah.
If both's possible, then great.
Yeah,
but at least one. That's the consolation that you take from it.
I understand that John Suter is fault for that third goal, right? He's at fault. What's it doing with the back pass? But if Alan McGregor wasn't a pensioner, he gets that ball. If they have a keeper who's even 10 years younger than him, he gets that ball.
Oh, can I just say, sorry, talking about Rangers, like, again, as soon as Robbie was away, I don't know whether you saw that, the fourth official's tweet saying that Rangers have made early contact with Lawrence Shankland. Then you see their fans speculating. I mean, I saw a rumour today. I thought, what was it? It was like 3 million plus Scott Wright and John Suter. I mean, as if that's... Can you imagine a crocked John Suter returning to Tynecastle and amongst that change room going, oh, hi again, guys.
Right, my favourite part of that fourth official thing was exclusive. Lawrence Shankland has been attempted to get by Rangers, and then less than a day later, no, he isn't. I've amended it. It's like some exclusive, mate. Well, then.
I spoke to him. Oh, wait, no, I actually didn't.
Actually, it's fine. So, yeah, like, great time. Let's get into our game. I have so many things to say.
Yes, Lawrence Shankland and 10 of his teammates lined up at Tynecastle as Hearts took on St Mirren. There were 4 changes from the side that lost at Rugby Park to Kilmarnock last Saturday, and one of the most abysmal Hearts performances I've ever seen. Ross Stewart was handed the gloves following the injury to Xander Clark as Harry Stone came in to deputise on the bench. Tammy Devlin returned to the starting lineup after he suffered his head injury stroke concussion on international duty. He replaced Orestes Kiermaier-Soglu. And Andy Halliday and James Hill both came into the starting 11 with Toby Sibic named amongst the substitutes, surprisingly, and Josh Ginnelly omitted from the matchday squad entirely. McIver, the team was set out a couple different ways. I'm going to go with the fact that I thought it was a 4-2-3-1 stroke 4-3-3.
Yep.
Stewart in goal, obviously. Smith, Hill, Rose and Kingsley back 4. Halliday, Devlin and Snodgrass in the middle, with Grant on the left, Forrest on the right and Shankland in attack. What did you make of that starting 11? And had you guessed the formation and where everybody was playing?
Right. I will say this. Everybody knows, as I said at the start, everyone knows me as the pro-Neilson guy on this show and just kind of generally in the fan base. And at times where most people have turned against Neilson, I've kind of always been on his side. For this game, I don't think I'll ever speak as negatively about Neilson as I ever have, because I've never been more angry at Neilson in a game. And I feel like what that 90 minutes did was show every problem we currently have, both managerially and personnel.
I was very surprised that if the situation is the way that it was, you're under the pressure and scrutiny that you are, to name that starting 11 and bench, if we're honest, I thought that was a gamble, to say the very least.
I was standing at the bus stop, ready to get on a bus when I saw the team, and genuinely thought, am I getting on this? I might just go home.
On the bench, obviously, Harry Stone, like I alluded to, Toby Sibic, Alex Cochrane, your man Peter Haring, obviously back.
Yep.
Keogh, Kuhl, Oda, Mackay, and Humphreys.
I was fucking furious at that lineup. Like, genuinely furious. There's 2, and it's for 2 reasons. One of them is less because we still don't know. Sibbick must be hurt.
Yeah.
He must have picked up a niggle.
Why not come out and say that?
I don't know.
Why would the club not even slightly allude to that?
I've
Are
no
they afraid
idea.
of the backlash whereby most folks' argument would be, well, if he's fit enough to be on the bench, then he's fit enough to start? And,
Yeah. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. If he is hurt, probably the logic was the Derby's bigger. We need him fit for the Derby. Because that's the logic that we've had with Clark. That's why Clark didn't start, because we hope he's fit for the Derby. 12 minutes into the game, Sibbick is doing shuttle runs warming up. That says to me...
Glad you kept your timer on.
That to me says he's not hurt. Because if he's hurt, why is he one of the first to warm up? Why is it when we're in no danger? It's not like we had conceded 6 shots and we're like, oh God, we might need to make a change at the back here.
Look, and again, like, there was obviously murmurs after Kelly, as there were a couple other clashes. Toby Sibbick can't be in and amongst these rumours whereby there's been a rift in the dressing room, and I can't imagine Toby Sibbick having much of a problem with Neilson now. I would have understood it at the start of the season, but he sort of cemented his place in the team under Robbie and bailed Robbie out.
That's what so it's kind of going to be a point I get to at the end of the discussion of this, but certain players should have no fears for their futures at this club. Certain players shouldn't. Sibbick is one of them. Sibbick should be like, if a new manager comes in...
I mean, are we doing a clear out now? Do you want to run through the squad now?
No, I want to do it at the end because I want to speak about individuals first because of what happened in that game.
There's another 20 minutes added on, folks.
Yeah,
sorry about that.
Exactly. Yeah, you're here for 3 hours, right? Accept it. But Sibbick, it's like, right, fine. He might be hurt. There is absolutely no excuse to drop Alex Cochrane. There's none. No. There is no excuse, particularly.
Well, it's not even a case of dropping him because he's not been starting.
Yeah,
like,
he's
surely now he's got to come in.
Yeah, especially when his replacement is Stephen Kingsley. Because, in particular, as I say, Saturday was the game to me that summed all the problems up. Kingsley was one of the main ones. Kingsley was fucking diabolical on Saturday. He was terrible. So bad. And the whole time I'm thinking, Alex Cochrane's been our second best player of the season, just behind Shankland. Yes, he's had off games. His Aberdeen performance was easily the worst half an hour, whatever he played, in a Hearts jersey. But why does he only get one time to fuck up? Why is it only that Alex Cochrane gets half an hour despite being great all season? Stephen Kingsley can have 5 months of being shit in play.
Is it? And I'm just playing devil's advocate here. I'm not looking to wind you up or whatever with the response. Is it because of the age that he's at? Is it because Stephen Kingsley's amassed more experience that we'd expect him to get? For Alex Cochrane, I can imagine as a younger player that hits home more when you've not been at your best. I'm just speculating. Yeah. I don't know Alex Cochrane personally. I'm assuming he's a great guy. It looks like he's full of confidence at times, but I don't know. It's like you say, he's only been given one life, really.
Yeah.
And then he's on the chopping board as soon as he hasn't been performing. He was one that, again, rumours of a rift, but I'm merely speculating.
And it all comes from that moment where he visibly tells Robbie to fuck off at Aberdeen. And then he gets chucked off. And since then, he's been in and out of the team.
Yeah.
And it's like, if the reason isn't what you're saying, and Neilson's going, right, well, listen, Cochrane's his head's a wee bit gone, maybe he's not playing the best. I'll put Kingsley in, who's much more experienced. I would still disagree because there comes a point where it's like, I don't care how experienced Kingsley is. Yeah. He's been terrible this season. But fine. That's a manager's discretion. That's what they're paid for. They make those decisions. If it's because you've had a wee argument with Cochrane and you're now making a martyr out of him, then it's like, of course you're going to get sacked. Of course you're going to get sacked when you don't play our second best player.
Yeah, when it's been such a key performer. Yeah.
And I looked at that team and I was like, Snodgrass is still playing. What's going on? Going on?
He dropped Barry McCarry in recent weeks, but now it's like he'd always had that one player whereby he was adamant would get us out of a situation or would conjure something.
Yeah.
The only justification for me for keeping Robert Snodgrass in the team is set piece delivery, particularly when he alluded to both pre and post match, I believe, how strong St Mirren were at set plays.
Yeah.
It's like as though Snodgrass's delivery might be of benefit to us in an offensive sense.
Grant was taking more set pieces.
Again, yeah. Yeah. So it's like so what's Snodgrass there for then?
Yeah. Like I was sat on the bus going towards the game just going, we're getting beat here. We're getting beat. Like, this is not going to go well.
Did you lump St Mirren to ease the pain?
I should have done.
I should have done that at Kelly as well. I think there was something like 11-5. Great price.
God, I should have done. But just looking at it, it was Cochrane. And after the game, 3 hours later, I think I was tweeting about it going, because again, Cochrane came on and did well because he's better than Stephen Kingsley.
Yeah. I mean, if we get into the quote-unquote highlights, it all starts from a Robert Snodgrass tackle 7 minutes in. He's booked after receiving what is a hospital pass from Alan Forrest, in my opinion. That being said, heavy first touch, leaves one on Mark O'Hara. We know what happens later on in the game, but a justified booking in it, really.
Yeah, definitely. It's a bad pass, but it is like, again, he's
early stages of the game, get it fucking under. Yeah. You set the standard, you carry us, you alleviate that pressure, you take that on your shoulders. You've played in the Premier League. The onus is on you as one of the senior players to bail the gaffer out, to bail your teammates out, to give the fans something to shout about. And that didn't happen.
And it's not like it's not like we've decided that. It's not like we as fans have went, right, Robert, you're doing this. He's made his entire gimmick about being the guy that sets the standards, that is the guy in the middle of the park shouting at everybody and all that. So it's like, right, fine. I then expect more of you than I will expect of other players because you're telling me you're better than other players. So in 7 minutes, when you just half a guy, it's like, right, he was meant to be playing in the 10, allegedly. He was meant to be in the number 10, right? I think once I saw him further than Shankland in an offside position. It's like, great, what's the point in that? Most of the time he was as deep as he always is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Like, and again, we're the home team. The onus is on us. We're expected to bounce back and end this rotten run. And that trio in midfield is up there with, I don't want to say one of the most negative, but certainly like you're asking a heck of a lot for the likes of Halliday from deep. Devlin isn't known for his offensive prowess. I don't know. Again, like we're at the stage now where these sort of situations must play over in his mind.
Yeah,
he'll probably
think so.
Why did I fall out with Josh Ginnelly and start him on the flank, say, and have Grant as the one to connect midfield and attack?
I will say, and kind of, I'm like, because of where I set him in a slightly unique position, I think Gino is hurt. At the start of the second half, he came out the tunnel and went up the stairs and he couldn't take the steps with 2 feet. He was hopping up them, holding the barrier.
That's a big miss for the Derby if that's the case.
That's the worry. He's apparently got a bone bruise that he's been dealing with for the past couple of months, but at Killy, he got stamped on and it really aggravated it.
And again, folk then are quick to see the fact that he's omitted from the matchday squad. And then they go, well, what's the script? Is he staying? Is he not signing a new deal? Is he leaving his future up to his agent or chance or whatever?
But literally, my brother tapped me and was like, look, it's Gino. He can barely walk up the steps. Now, listen, conspiracy theorists might go, he's the greatest actor of all time. He has to act like he's hurt. I don't think Gino's that good an actor. I think he's just not fit, sadly.
I don't know. I think he's got moments in him. I think Gino fancies himself as an actor, 100%. I get that impression. Look, again, you know me and wanting Hearts to get off to a fast start. It was anything but on Saturday. I mean, after 8 minutes, St Mirren head over from a corner. Joe Shaughnessy appears to lose Kai Rolls in a centre-half on centre-half battle. Hearts would then try and respond with a chance of their own. Michael Smith looks to link up with Lauren Shankland. The latter's effort is deflected wide. He cuts inside and looks to bend one with his left foot. However, again, and the gaffer alluded to it post-match, St Mirren were looking to cause problems at set pieces. One that's taken by Thierry Small sees Alex Gogic head down and into the turf, but fortunately bounces up and over Stewart's crossbar. He then heads one wide another 3 minutes later. But our best move of the half, I mean, we alluded to it earlier on, sees us build from the back with Kai Rolls, James Hill, Michael Smith and Alan Forrest claim touches. Robert Snodgrass skips past Gogic, meant to be playing at number 10, but he's that deep. Finds Andy Halliday. Amy Devlin then finds Stephen Kingsley up from left back. A decent ball in from Kingsley. I know you slated his performance, but this was perhaps the best aspect of his performance. Finds Andy Halliday. The stretching Andy Halliday, once again, I should say, but he sends a header crashing off the crossbar. This, to me, seemed as though it was going to change things. It felt like the fans were beginning to find their voice because it was tense. I think there was an underlying sense of, if things don't go well, it'll turn sour, as it so often does. And this chance was maybe like kind of the last ounce of hope. Is that fair to say?
I get what you mean. It was a good chance and a good move, but it was kind of I can't think of any other chance that we had in that first half that was like as concrete as that. And it's like that says a lot that we're in a position where that's the case. And it also felt like during the half we changed system a wee bit. We fully changed system when we went to 10 men, which we'll get to, but that's because you're down to 10 men on that part. But I was looking down there because I got my phone. I was speaking to my mate, and we were speaking about like what is Neilson's. This was before he was sacked, but after the game. So it's what is Neilson's plan? Because people say that Neilson doesn't have a plan; it relies on individual brilliance. And I was like, my opinion is when it's in a 3-5-2, it's a system that relies on wing backs overlapping and a number 6 in a pivot to then build forward. It relies on the back 3 to move the other 17 players on the pitch like top level teams do with their passing around the back. So if you pass it to the left-hand side of the centre half, the whole pitch moves that way, right-hand side. And you keep doing that until one of your ball-playing centre halves sees an opening and plays a pass. Sibic did it twice against Kilmarnock. Sibic also did it in the Aberdeen 5-0 game where he played that ball to Smith. And it creates a gap.
There was me going to say that we aren't a top team and we don't create the space, but I stand corrected.
There's 3 problems with it, though, that have all come home to roost at the one time in the last issues. Number 1, the pivot is Snodgrass, and if they put a man on Snodgrass, we're done for. That's immediately it because he doesn't have the legs to do it. Number 2, and this is the main one, if they don't move with us when we're doing the passes along the back and they just sit in a low block and go, right, you can have that ball in your own half all you want. We are not moving. It means there is no space created. So therefore, all our players just kind of stand going, we're meant to wait on other players moving.
We need a bit of movement. We need a gap somewhere. Yeah. And then it's probably a stray pass.
Yes, exactly. And then finally, and this is just a subset of that, there's no space for wing backs to overlap into because that space doesn't exist in behind.
And our current fullbacks ain't the most athletic at present anyway.
Or don't get picked, Alex Cochran. Yes. So the thing is, if one of those things happens, it's quite bad. It's like, oh, okay, if they put a guy on Snodgrass, we don't know what we're doing. Oh, okay, they've just put in a low block. If a team plays against that system and goes low block, play on the counter, they will get a result. They might not win, but they'll get points. And that's been proven the last 3 months. That is quite
sad, isn't it? That it's that easy to work out.
How did both their goals come from, which we're about to get to? They came from a counter and a set piece.
But in saying this, like, we did pass up the Halliday chance, a great chance. There's an even better one at the start of the second half. Kingsley and Halliday exchange a 1-2 after the left back takes the throw in. A tidy flick from George Grant sees Kingsley motor into the box, pulls one across. It misses Shankland, it misses Forrest. It comes up to Michael Smith. His effort is a high one, and Carson palms into the box, and then Hearts just can't connect to the follow-up as Saints eventually hoist it clear. That would have been some way for Michael Smith to mark his 200th appearance for Heart Midlothian Football Club, firing us ahead, and maybe that could have been the thing that the goal that could have changed Robbie's tenure. We don't know. We don't know, but that's the ball. Like, it's fine lines at this stage.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. I feel so bad for Michael Smith that he's given us his prime. We don't deserve him at all.
No, we don't.
Look at what we've given him one good season, basically one good season, and even then he was hurt for a lot of it, so couldn't play a lot of it. And it's towards the end of his career where he wasn't. It's not like we had 2018 Michael Smith last season. We could have won the league if we had 2018 Michael Smith last season.
It's when he comes out and says like that he appreciates playing for a club of such stature and he loves the city and all that. It just brings a tear to a glass eye. That
I felt so bad for him. I also felt a bit bad because I had
did you goal scorer. Yeah. Did you? What did you get?
81 or something.
Oh Jesus! How much do you have on it?
Like £2. Oh. So I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, Mick! Just hit it low!
I was about to say, what a Lace's job for you then.
Yeah, just hit it low into the corner.
Head over it, bang!
Yes, exactly. But
like his goal against Germany. Exactly. You're talking about his prime.
Yeah.
This is a bloke that scored against, what were they, the then reigning world champions?
Manuel Neuer's in goals. Loving life.
Prowess. What a guy.
We should have made changes at halftime.
Who would the changes?
Humphreys, Sibic and Cochrane for Snodgrass, Halliday, Kingsley.
So it was that bad first half, he'd have been tempted into a treble change?
Not that, but I still think the first half was like fine. It was like, this isn't great.
Would you go into a back three then? Sorry, with Sibic coming on?
No, Sibic into the middle of the park. Yeah.
Interesting.
Cochrane left back and then Humphreys up top with Shankland or in the 10. If you did want to change it, play Humphreys in the 10 and win flick-ons.
Because he gets about. If we're going long.
Especially because they, again, had massive centre-halves.
Yeah. I mean, Joe Shaughnessy, Charles Dunn, Marcus Fraser.
They're all units.
Some big boys.
Yeah.
Big boys.
And then we collapsed.
Talking about St Mirren, I mean, they had a couple chances. Keanu Bacchus would blast high and wide. Scott Tanzer would swing a crossing for Alex Gogic to head wide yet again. I mean, after a good 2 set pieces, plenty of warnings. However, it wasn't to be long before the visitors would go in front. Alex Gogic sends a long, pretty aimless ball, if we're being honest, forward in search of Curtis Main. The ball's bouncing about off Kai Rolls, who's far too soft up against Main for me. And despite not being the most prolific goal scorer, sends a fantastic finish flying past Ross Stewart, arrows one into the bottom right-hand corner with his left foot, and St Mirren go in front in Gorgie. Heart of Midlothian 0, St Mirren 1.
I'm not going to be as critical on Rolls as some might think, because I feel a bit bad for him that he just gets stuck under it and it hits off him, but gets sandwiched between him and Main.
Again, like things when they're going for you, and when it's not.
9 times out of 10, that hits off him and pings somewhere, and just that. But I'll say this: Stephen Fletcher, Kyle Vassell, Curtis Main, all big strikers that Rolls has been incapable of dealing with.
They've rolled him.
Yes, exactly. And it's now like, right, this is a trend that needs fixed in pre-season. He needs to, I don't know if it's just like as simple as get in the gym and get bigger.
Hit the weights, big man.
But, and again, it's so like, we'll have so many what ifs this season, but it's like, imagine if we had Halkett.
Dare I say it, Mr. McIver, but a common theme in recent years is Hearts players that sign deals and then are a fraction of their former selves having signed a deal?
Yeah.
Is Kai Rolls the latest to feel this curse, having given us 5 years remarkably? Because at the World Cup, he was one of the best centre-halves I saw in that entire tournament.
Yeah.
He and Harry Souttar were phenomenal.
Yeah, they were amazing. And then Harry Souttar's wait less than been shit and all.
They are jobbies, can I say.
Terrible.
And again, talking about managerial targets, which we'll no doubt get onto, one of those put forward looks like he's taking the reins at the King Power for the rest of the season.
I'll give Rolls a bit of benefit of the doubt where it's like he's literally not had a break. And I know it's like he's 24 now, he should be doing it. But before coming to us, he'd never played for his country before. Literally, we'd announced his signing, and then he made his debut. He still was at Central Coast Mariners, but that was when he got his call up in the qualification for the World Cup. So he came to us. He'd played in the qualifiers, then came to us, so didn't get a break when the Australian season ended. Just came into us straight away. Then he got hurt, so didn't have a break. You're injured. Then comes straight back in. Then goes to the World Cup and plays like that. And then
these are the things that we don't really consider in it. Yeah.
I'm not saying that Kai Rolls is absolved of all responsibility. He's had a massive downturn in form and it needs fixing. But he's one that I'm like, I can understand why a lot more than others.
And again, like the international break, some players' time off's justified.
Mm-hmm.
Others not so. Is that another fault whereby if Robbie had the situation again, would he say, look, you're not going away here, there, and everywhere. You are
I don't know.
Coming in for, like, do you know what I mean? Like, this must play over in your mind, thinking, what could I have done differently?
Yeah.
What, if I had my time again, I'd do this as opposed to this, or I don't know.
There's so many things, but
we'll never know.
I'll say this. I agree it's a good hit, but it goes under Ross Stewart's hand. I watched it at the time.
It's a good finish. It is a good finish.
At the time, I didn't think you could blame Stewart at all. As it happened, I was like, that's a good finish. I've seen it back, and I'm like, it's a good finish, but I think Xander Clark saves it.
And needless to say, CG also saves it. Never mind. Look, Hearts would go in search of an equaliser. An immediate equaliser as Lon Shanklin would bend one high and wide. But we'll cut all the bullshit and just get to their second, which is just as bad as the first. A long throw from Ryan Strain isn't dealt with accordingly. Mark O'Hara, we alluded to it last episode, is in great form, comes from deep and sends a shot which admittedly deflects off Alex Gogic and past Ross Stewart in a flash. With over half an hour to go, we've then got a mountain to climb as St Mirren go to the good.
Ross Stewart's blameless for this one for me, because it does take a bastard of deflection.
And again, like, when it's going well, these are the type of things that when luck is not on your side, you feel the full extent of it.
So Ross Stewart, I don't have an issue with here. It's kind of like, and you can tell he's frustrated by the way he falls back. He knows that he can't really do anything. For me, the issue is the defending, because again,
woeful. We
cannot deal with a ball into the box.
McIver, he alluded to this. He literally said about set pieces. Like, again, this is where I then start to question how much of it really is a manager's fault in some instances. If Robbie is hammering home to numerous players that they are a threat at set plays and we concede from a set play, as far as I'm concerned, he can do no more. He can't go on and head it clear for them.
Mm-hmm. At the same time, it's where you simultaneously can go, I can understand why we're going to sack, because maybe try and do a different tactic, because it's always zonal. It's always zonal.
I'm not a fan of zonal. I'm really not. I call me old-fashioned or whatever, but man to man, at least then you can pin blame on somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
With zonal, you're left in the lurch, because it's like, should I have gone? Should I have stayed? Like, whereas if you're up against somebody and he gets the better of you,
that's it.
Your marker scored. Yeah. It's the onus is on you.
So that's where it's like, well, yeah, that is simultaneously, that's both a player responsibility, but that's also Neilson's fault, because why are you still telling them to mark zonally? Because it's so easy to avoid that.
Yeah. Again, like if it's not been working throughout the entire duration of the season,
change it.
Why haven't you altered that? Yeah. Do you feel any better? Is this like any form of therapy? This is how I feel most weeks. Well, I come in here angry. I get loads off my chest. I feel, like a burden's been lifted. And then I'm excited for the weekend again. To then have your hopes and dreams ripped away from you as they
that's the thing.
Do.
I'm not excited because of what's coming up this weekend.
No, it's not nice. I mean, your man Alex Cochrane nearly pulls one back with his first 2 touches after coming on. And a few minutes later, a near impossible task becomes completely impossible. Robert Snodgrass sent for an early bath following a challenge on Curtis Main on the byline, near enough in front of the dugouts. I think, personally, I do think it's a harsh second yellow card. I'm intrigued to get your thoughts.
That's fine, right? And I can understand that, right? It probably is a harsh second yellow, right?
Is it just the way that he's gone in whilst being on a booking?
You're on a booking and you run maybe 60 yards and he maybe gets the ball first. I've seen it back 4 or 5 times. I can't properly tell. But he simultaneously gets the man and his studs are showing.
You know what, though? He's hauled Cochrane and Humphreys on at this stage, though. If he knows that Snodgrass is on a booking, would you not be like neither Devlin nor Halliday? Yeah.
What's he doing still in that position to be able to make that challenge? But for me, that is a massive positive.
Because Snodgrass is suspended for the Derby.
It means he physically cannot play in this Derby. And I hope that's the last time we ever see him. Because regardless of if it is a yellow or not, it's pathetic from him. A guy who is like, I set the standards and all that. He was like, I don't want to deal with this. I'm just going to jump in. When you're on a booking, you don't make a challenge like that. You just don't. I don't care if he gets it right. You cannot go in with that
or
speed.
How frustrated you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Allegedly frustrated or whatever.
And it's like, it sums up him in the last few months where it's like, yep, you're the problem again. Where it's like, you've made it impossible now. That's it. You've made it impossible. We can't, even if we wanted to, we now can't come back because the shape has to change. You see Humphreys looking to the bench and putting his arms up like, where do you want me to go now? Like Shankland starts dropping deeper because we don't have that midfield anymore. It's Humphreys basically on his own running the line. And I was like, I genuinely didn't care that he got sent off in the grand scheme of things because I thought Neilson was still going to be at the Derby. So it was like, good. It means he physically can't play him because he would have. I think if Snodgrass was available for the Derby and Neilson was still here, he would have played.
And now he's not got that luxury, of course. Again, I thought he'd get the Derby, and I thought if he gets beaten the Derby, then get his jotters.
But same.
It's obviously come before that. I just want to talk about a couple more chances, stroke opportunities. Stephen Kingsley, a free kick of his has Trevor Carson scrambling, but it's just high and wide. It's actually a decent effort. But again, like I don't want to say somewhat dependent on that, but that was one of the positive aspects of last season where it was like a set piece specialist, and it just like he's not even scored this season, has he? So just looks so off it. And speaking of miles off the mark, Alan Forrest flashes one wide. Stephen Humphreys centres for Shankland. It's a lovely little dink. It drops to Alan Forrest. I mean, he's nearly on the penalty spot. Somehow skews it wide. That summed up the afternoon for me.
You need to at least hit the target from there.
Yeah. But ultimately doesn't. And that's that. That's the end of Hearts sitting in third position. That's the end of Robbie Neilson's tenure. It's not great, is it?
I want to mention Devlin because I was there.
Yours.
I stayed until the final whistle, and I think only 5 or 6 players went round the pitch clapping everybody. Devlin, as ever, as he always is, if you're not able to get your Tynecastle on a regular basis, or if you don't go for whatever reason you might not know, Devlin is always the last player on the pitch. He's always the last player clapping. When we're doing well, it's great.
Fair. I know that for a fact. He does love it.
Absolutely fair play, because I still thought he was quite good on Saturday. He was by far from the worst player in that part. Still, again, it's so simple. Football fans are such simple people. It's going wrong, but you can see Devlin still giving it his all and still going for it, and you naturally like that.
So, yeah, I was about to say that. Like, it doesn't matter who you support. If you've got a player that will give you every last ounce of their being, then that is appreciated.
But fair play to him. He was again the last person, but instead of just going around clapping, he was clapping, but he was apologising. He was putting his hands up to every stand, every section, doing that. It's like, you shouldn't be doing that. It's not your responsibility to do that. There's been Listen, I'll admit, Devlin hasn't been as good as he was last season, right? I think most players haven't been as good as they were last season. But still, I will still say it. Alongside Shankland, I thought Devlin was our best player in Europe. I thought it really...
I don't know whether Cammy needs Benny or Benny needs Cammy, or they both need one another.
Yeah, they're a very good partnership. They work best together. But he shouldn't be the one taking the blame. Now, thankfully, nobody booed him. Everybody applauded him and everybody clapped him and stuff.
That's what I was going to say. What did you make of, firstly, the manager's reaction post-match and sort of the reception that he then received?
Fair play to him for coming onto the pitch and then clapping. That's what you do. You just do, even if he's furious. And he
that was the case at Kelly as well, where you could just tell that he doesn't want to, but he has to.
But I've got a lot of respect for him for doing that, because it's very easy to just nip down the tunnel.
100%.
Just go at that. Fair play to him. It really saddens me that that's his final moment, considering how much positivity he's given for us. And that's the final thing. And I understand the anger. I'm someone who doesn't boo ever. I just don't boo because I'm like, I don't think you should boo your own team. I'm not going to say to anybody that they shouldn't. You pay your money, do what you want.
Yeah,
I'm not going to do that.
Within your rights or whatever.
I will say I didn't applaud anybody. I just stood.
Just with your arms crossed.
Just stood, arms crossed, fucking raging. But I just feel bad for him. That's the last image for someone who's done so much positive things for us.
It is sad, but ultimately we enter a new temporary, for the time being, era. The first match of that is just the small matter of an Edinburgh Derby at Easter Road.
Jesus. It's going to be the worst Edinburgh Derby of all time.
And that is quite the feat.
I've stuck a tenner on 0-0.
Have you?
Yeah.
What price did you get that?
20-41.
Bloody hell, really?
No, 12-1.
I was going to say, Jesus, those 24s, I'll just get the wheelbarrow.
12-1, sorry. Yeah.
12-1?
Yeah. I don't know what it is now. I did it yesterday before Neilson got sacked. I'm going to check what it is now.
I bet it's coming now.
Let's see what it is as we're
on the podcast. Let's get live, because I'm going to get up some fans' thoughts with regards to the manager. We obviously put out a tweet asking.
It's still 12-1.
12-1. I might have to leap on that. I should have put my free bet on that.
Yeah. See, that's what you do.
My Sky free bet, should have done that. Anywho, like I alluded to, we put a tweet out and we got a heck of a lot of folks' thoughts. So first of all, thank you to everybody that has replied.
Yep.
And we basically said, if you want to contribute to the show, tell us firstly your thoughts about Robbie leaving, and secondly who your ideal successor was. So I'll read out just a couple that we've got. First of which comes from Sam. He says, unfortunate that it ended the way that it did, but it really couldn't have gone on any longer. Someone without a legacy at the club to tarnish, aim high, see what Conte's up to, then work the list down from there. I love the optimism, Sam. I do. I like that. Unfortunately, I think we're going to have to get Antonio Conte plastered before he even can point out Edinburgh on a map.
Hey, Pochettino's kids, one of them's a Hearts fan.
And the other sports Hibs. That could be quite the divide in the Pochettino household.
Get him in!
I did think about that. I thought, will I dig up that article and try and start something? But I don't know. He'll probably go back to Spurs, won't he, Poch?
Yeah.
Stuart Morrison got in touch. He said, a Hearts legend and doesn't deserve the abuse he's getting. He's done unbelievable things for the club and deserves a great send-off. Chris Wilder for me. A soft spot for Hearts and was in the running for the Aberdeen job not long ago at Watford until the end of the season. You're shaking your head. I'd like Wilder, I've got to be honest. But
I'm not a fan of Chris Wilder at all.
No? I think that man is a national treasure.
Yeah, the guy who's currently doing great with Watford and did really well with Middlesbrough as well, didn't he?
Watford are a mess though. Yeah, but basically led Sheffield United into Europe, didn't he?
Yeah, and then the arse completely collapsed.
Yeah, but name me a Premier League club that doesn't suffer second season syndrome, to be
Brentford, Brighton.
All right, Brentford 1-2. Fulham I won't give you because they're just up.
They're still good. But my point is more the last two stints. He was disastrous at Middlesbrough, and he's currently failing at Watford as well.
No, it was Warnock, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Warnock.
Yeah. Aye.
So I trusted judgment to some degree. Although he's actually got Ryan Porteous play. Yeah, well, he's got Ryan Porteous looking like a competent centre half. Get that man in the door right now.
Hasn't he won 1 in 5?
Yeah, I don't know, mate. I don't keep up to track for that.
You're like, yes, Chris Wilder train. Any stats to him? I reckon.
No, I was just because I've got a romantic. I don't know. I just thought his Sheffield United time was so well. Like he did so well, and then the wheels came off. I don't know. Look, name me a top manager that hasn't been sacked.
No, my point is just I've never bought into the Wilder thing ever.
Right. Well, here's some interesting shouts from Matthew Harold. He says he had to go. There were no signs of improvement from the team. Every player has seemed to regress. Kevin Muscat would be my pick. Either that or someone like Billy Reid, who Joe Savage knows and can work with. When I hear the name Kevin Muscat, I instantly think of the Neil Warnock clip calling him a shithouse. That is what I want.
Listen, Muscat for me is one of the two names I'd like. I think he's almost as possible as Conte and Poch. I don't see why Muscat would leave a very good job that he's currently doing.
He's in the A-League, isn't he?
He's in the J-League.
Oh, that's right. Yokohama Marinos.
Yeah, Yokohama Marinos. Yeah. He's
Andrew's club, that's right.
He's doing fantastic work there. I don't see why he'd come to us as a result, but it would be a great appointment.
We've tempted a couple of folk from Australasia and that side of the world.
But players, not current successful managers.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Northamptonshire Hearts have said there are a number of strong candidates who could take the club forward and build a stronger winning culture. I'd like us to go outside of the Scottish football bubble. I think we both would as well. Yep. Kevin Muscat or Graham Arnold would be a real statement of intent by the club. Can't see Graham Arnold.
Graham Arnold is not coming. Again, an appointment that I'd be happy with if we made it, but I don't see why on earth he would leave the Australia job for us.
No. Stefan Adam's right boot, obviously an inanimate object, has got in touch. Said, desperately sad it came to this, but the slump was getting alarming. We can't afford to miss out on more Euro money. Naismith, McAvoy until the summer. Well, you got your wish there. Yep. Then start battering down Chris Wilder's door. McIver still not having it. No. Graham said, don't like anyone losing their job, but 6 defeats in 6 and poor performance means it was the right choice. No idea who I want, but needs to be someone not scared to have a go and be attacking and someone who will get the best out of the squad. Can I just say, I ended up joining Graham's Hearts chat. It is absolutely bonkers. There's about 1 million folk in it, and it's quite nice. It's good bit of patter, good bit of discussion. So get on to him. It's decent. Rowdy Heart Tiger, no alternative. Next, someone who has a League One or League Two side overperforming would be logical, but they'd have no European experience. Maybe an international manager from the Championship. Find that blend of style, continental exposure, and ambition. Easier said than done, I suppose.
Yeah, I think every club wants that. Give me the perfect manager, but I know what you say. I know what you say.
Northamptonshire Hearts. Sorry, I see your second tweet. I missed out the first, but you said Robbie's a club legend and has done a great job to stabilise us. However, the cracks have appeared for a while, both tactically and player motivation. He's taken us as far as he can, but there's no doubt it's been a sad ending. Both 100% in agreement with you there. Aldo says, sad that it happened, but just had to. Robbie had lost the dressing room clearly. I think Kelly speaks more volumes about that than the St Mirren match, in my personal opinion. And again, he's another that would like to see Chris Wilder. Scott Lister, I'll never be able to thank Robbie enough for what he's done to our club in the last decade, but it had to happen now. Players weren't playing for him. apparent arguments behind the scenes with players, i.e. Cochrane, Gino. There was no coming back from this. We've alluded to all that. Saturday, just the icing on the cake, a simple ball over the top and a long throw in, passing along the back constantly and no plan B as always. I think Naismith short term, again, got your wish. And hopefully in the summer we step out of the usual Scottish merry-go-round and show a bit of ambition. I think there's a lot of people that are angling that we go overseas here, McIver.
Yep.
And I don't know if there's that narrative in Scottish football where it's obviously stemmed from Bertie Vogts being a failure of the national team, and everybody leaps on any foreign failure. Obviously, Stendhal, our last one. Kashina, great example. But Darren Brown, I think I think you and him are in agreement. Darren Brown, not maybe for this bit, because he says glad he's gone. Brought too much division to the sporting club. Clearly had lost players with his bizarre tactics. However, this is a man that you have obviously been bombarding all over Twitter.
Yeah.
Marty Cifuentes is a name that excites me. Would rather none of the jobbers from Scottish football the bookies are saying. Marty Cifuentes. Imagine your gaffer being called Cifuentes. Like, I always think of managers when they're labelled like with their surname. It's almost like politicians as well. Cifuentes got it wrong. Cifuentes' tactics were spot on. I'm already salivating at the thought of saying Cifuentes on a weekly basis.
So, before I explain who this guy is to people who might not know, we're not getting him. He's another one who...
We'll just chuck him in the window. Yeah. There's absolutely no chance that Hearts are going to appoint him. Oh, no. Right, okay, thanks.
He's another one who's going to go on to bigger and better things. He's currently operating at a level that is basically very similar to us, so I don't know why for him it would be a sidestep. I'd love it. But he's the current Hammarby manager in Sweden. Yeah, he took Malmo to penalties and only lost 5-4.
I see you, Malmo.
Yeah.
That's my guys.
Lost 5-4 in the Swedish Cup final on penalties and took Hammarby to only their third place finish in the last decade. They on average finished 8th or 9th.
Have they qualified for the conference next season, I think?
They have qualified for the Conference League. And obviously...
That'd be a great trip. Is Hammarby a city or is that Stockholm?
I can't remember. I genuinely can't remember.
I'm going to search that.
Obviously, the Swedish season's different, so it's only just started this new season, so they're only 2 games in. He's had 44 games as Hammarby manager and only lost 8. And there's an amazing, I'll put it in the description of this, there's an amazing tactical analysis of him. And he's very interesting. He's very attacking. His preferred formation is a 4-3-3. Adam's buzzing about summon.
I'm just looking. Obviously, they are from Stockholm, right. So that'd be a great trip. But also, Zlatan Ibrahimovic owns 23.5% of Hammarby.
Yeah, he is their part owner. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know why. But
interesting. He's just the Swedish Gary Neville or whoever.
Yeah, basically. Cifuentes' style is a 4-3-3 attacking. Again, for kind of stat nerds like me, there's lots of breakdowns of the way he plays, and it's very based on getting the ball and the team plays in a mid block, so the connection between defence and attack is so close to each other. So you can very quickly get the ball, move it quickly, and get it out wide, which would benefit players like Ginnelli if he's still here next season. It relies on pace, width, getting the ball and like really quick passes and moving it forward.
I could just see you. Just a marauding Alex Cochrane. Just I can see the drool just is beginning to just drop from your chin.
Think of that, man. But as I say, he's not coming because he's too good. But those are my 2 picks: Kevin Muscat and Cifuentes. Yes, but my overall point, because again, thank you to everybody who contributed managers' names as well. Like it wasn't just like
I was going to say I've got a couple more, but you carry on.
The main consensus I fully agree with. I don't want Stephen Robinson. I don't want David Martindale. I don't want Derek McInnes. I don't want just generic, but Paul Lambert's name's being thrown in and all this shit, right? What was the point in sacking Neilson if we're going to replace him with worse managers than him? Because Robinson's not as good a manager. Martindale's not as good a manager. Lambert, the last time Lambert had a win percentage over 40% was in 2009.
Was that with Norwich?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he did back-to-back promotions, didn't he? And then I think since Villa, it's all been downhill for Paul Lambert.
His last 3 jobs averaged a 19% win rate.
Jesus. What was I going to say? Robinson's never had the resources, really. But
True. Yeah.
but again, I think
he's a
suits
similar
that sort of
level.
plucky underdog.
Yeah, like people are saying the big thing about Robbie was he's taken us as far as he can go. What that means is people in their minds either mean we now need to split the old firm, which will never happen. It will not happen. Or what there is a much higher chance of happening is win us a trophy. So we need to get a manager.
Pull away from the rest.
Yeah. But Neilson did that last season and a lot of people still criticised him.
Yeah.
So we need a manager then who will win us a trophy. Can anybody tell me with a straight face that Stephen Robinson will definitely win us a trophy?
He was unlucky at Motherwell coming up against
Rogers
Celtic. But I know what you mean.
He's still got to come up against Andrew's Celtic against us.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I mean, knocked out the League Cup with St Mirren this season, and they lost to a good couple of part-time sides and whatever. It's probably a blessing given the Premiership campaign that they have. But I get what you're saying. Adam Markham says, whereas I fully agree that Neilson had taken us as far as he could, I don't see what getting rid of him now will achieve. Should have waited till the end of the season if we were to get rid. Feel like it has to be someone from abroad, as the options within Scotland, Robinson, Martindale, McInnes, who you've all alluded to, McIver, is uninspired at best and might as well have kept Neilson. Basically, exactly what you just said there. Liam Moffat says, think the writing was on the wall for him. We had 2 weeks after the Aberdeen debacle and nothing has changed. Sad to see how it ended, but had to happen. Needs to be an ambitious appointment. I'd go for either Muscat or Wilder at the start of next season. John Cleland says, hate the way things have ended, but relieved it didn't reach Levine levels of poison, and he goes with the best wishes of the majority. It's a great point. It was the correct and only choice to make, and we need to be looking abroad or down south for a long-term successor. We can't afford to fuck this up.
Mm-hmm.
James Yeo, correct decision, sadly. Naismith till the end of the season, then see where we go. Well, you've got your wish. John Bird, sad it didn't work out, but performances have been dreadful, and the fact players in the dressing room had turned on him, it was inevitable. Dean Smith, for me, would be a proper show of intent from the club. That was obviously prior to the talk that he's going to take over and succeed Rogers temporarily at Leicester. Jamie Jambo Daft Jim says, can't think of many coaches I'd rather have for Derby than Neilson, but toxic in stadium, and clearly there's dissent between coach/team. Kevin Muscat I like the look of. Oz Connection, successful in Japan, was branded most hated man in football though, so maybe not one to unite the dressing room. And lastly, penultimate, Ian Galston says, same as most, sad that Neilson had to go, but things had become untenable. Still surprised the board acted so quickly. Shame they didn't do the same with Levine. I'm in agreement with you there. Getting so annoyed with media muppets who only know the ugly sisters commenting on how mad it is. Hi, Chris Sutton. Hope you're well. And Richard Cobb says, good but sad. Ben Woodburn, player manager. Let's move on.
I think that's where the podcast...
the Zoom link. Yeah. So that's nice. Thanks, Dickie, for that.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, and I should say, before we get on to the quiz, I was sent a brilliant direct message on Twitter by LW Scouting, so I really do appreciate it, mate. I'm sorry that I was just about to ignore that and go on to something else, but you alluded to a manager from Sweden, McIver.
Mm-hmm.
LW Scouting says, I'd like to see the club be bold and try to tempt Thomas Lagerlof from Djurgårdens in Sweden. Finished second last season, narrowly missing out on the title to Häcken, but finished above both AIK and Malmo. Has got them consistently to the top of Swedish football after years of lower finishes on a very similar looking budget to ours. Qualified for the Conference League this year the hard way through 3 qualifying rounds, and then went on to top the group with 5 wins and 1 draw in their 6 matches with Molde, Genk and Shamrock Rovers. Favours an attacking 4-3-3. Side always appears to have the box flooded with bodies, goals from cutbacks, centre mids, something I found we've really struggled with, often 1 or 2 in the box, and recently signed a new contract a month ago, so may not be interested. However, Swedish League is 22nd in the coefficient versus Scotland in 9th, so he may like the sound of the challenge with European football still on offer. Interesting to hear your boys' thoughts on whether someone like this is the profile you'd like the club to target, as opposed to the same old names. Like you said, obviously, Cifuentes or Muscat is your cup of tea.
That is exactly who I want us to appoint. That exact type of profile, expertise, experience, exactly. As I didn't even know that he signed a new contract a month ago. Before that, I thought, there's no way he's coming. I definitely don't think so now.
That was Lagerlof. Are you still talking about Cifuentes?
No, Lagerlof.
Oh, Lagerlof.
Well. So I would love
Lagerlof for the Lager lovers.
Yes, even though I don't drink. But you can drink mine.
Brilliant. I don't need a second invitation.
I would love that. Any one of those three or a similar person to that, that's who I think we should go for. I do not want to just be faced with another Jack Ross type character. I know he's at Newcastle.
I was about to say, you don't even talk about that.
No,
I mean, it just big teams, youth teams, and wee teams, management gigs.
Exactly. That's what it is. That's the rules.
That's it.
Yeah.
Before we go, let's get on to
No.
the latest edition of the quiz. Oh, go on.
We need to speak about Hibs. We can't just ignore the derby.
We don't
Because
talk about this game. This is nerve-wracking.
I saw one Hibs fan go, what's worse than losing to Robbie Neilson in a derby? Losing to Stephen Naismith in a derby. How many Hearts managers, even caretakers, have had their first game as a derby?
Oh, God.
There won't be many.
That's a great quiz question. I should have done my research on that.
Well, maybe
you could do that for next week.
Yeah, maybe that'll happen next week. But listen, if there's a person to get you up for a derby and to just kind of get you all based around passion, it's Gary Locke. But just below that is Stephen Naismith, who is currently at our disposal.
I wonder if Naismith would let Gary Locke go Tonto in that dressing room.
I know. Maybe. I don't know.
I secretly hope that he does.
Yeah. Locke just chucking a chair through a wall, being like, do not let them do this.
Go full Fergie, just start launching boots at them.
Listen, I have no idea what's going to happen. I think it's going to be a terrible game. All I'll say is that McCurdy still hasn't scored.
Kevin Nisbet's not scoring in Edinburgh Derby either.
Yeah, and that, I never know how to say his name. I always say Kukarevicic, but I don't think that is right. I think I've added an extra
the big
K.
Ukrainian fella. Yeah.
He's good. And he worries me.
Scored at the weekend. Yeah.
That's what I always thought was a positive in January. He didn't play in either of those games. What have we just been speaking about? Our defence can't deal with big, tall, physical strikers.
No, he could have a field day up against Kairos.
Even just to win knockdowns for Nisbet or McCurdy. I think Johnson...
Josh Campbell maybe from a deep roll. Yuan even in behind.
Exactly. Johnson, I think, would be an idiot if he doesn't front load it. Just go, listen, they're managerless. Just, we're at home.
I think he will. I think he will in an attempt to save his job yet again.
What's your score prediction then?
I was just about to ask you.
I'm getting in there first. I want to hear yours.
I honestly don't know.
I 2-0 them.
I want to try and be positive. I want to say that we'll win, but I genuinely believe that.
I've been guessing draws and wins recently, and it's been shite. So I'm going back to always saying we're going to get beat and try and fix it.
I mean, I predicted a draw at the weekend, and no, did I say we
No,
win?
we both said 2-1.
Yeah, we did.
By the way, my dad said we'd get beat 2-1 and get a guy sent off. He was a goal off.
Jesus. My pal Ewan that I go to the games with, he had Hearts letting down for 450 last weekend.
Oh my God.
He was adamant we'd win. I was like, all right. It's a shame. Sorry, mate. 0-0.
Well, that's what I'm...
1-0 us, maybe. I'd certainly take it. Bite your hand off for it.
I think if we won, I don't care. We could have 5
I don't even
reds.
care if it's a screamer or if it's the scrappiest goal imaginable. There's something that actually, there's a part of me that wants it to be the scrappiest, shittiest,
VR
most controversial goal. Yeah, they've lost the signal. They're trying to bash the screen. No joy.
As Alex Cochrane's hand godded it in.
It's deflected off the chip box that's come Cochrane's way for the second time at Easter Road this season.
Exactly.
Dreading it.
Yeah.
Not going, thankfully, but I'll be keeping my tabs on it and begging that we can try and get a result. Oh God. So what, you've said 2-0 Hibs and I've said 0-0. So neither of us think that we'll score.
Nah.
Or do we really believe that?
Oh, I don't think we will. I genuinely don't think we will. I think we're very bad.
There's always a chance. There's always a chance.
It could be 10 in a row.
Oh, yeah, it's going too well. We're definitely getting beat. Right, quiz. Try and end this on a positive spin.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's not happening. The way this week's gone, I'm going to get a 0 for 5 for the first time ever.
You know, I've got a couple multiple choices in there. I've got one standard question, a true or false, and of course ending with the coveted "Who am I?"
Is it Robbie Neilson?
No. Your first question, McIver, is St Mirren claimed their first victory at Tynecastle in nearly a decade on Saturday, their last win in Gorgie coming back in October 2013 and again by a 2-0 scoreline. John McGinn opened the scoring, but who bagged the second for the Buddies that day?
I'm really annoyed. I thought the question was going to be, when did St Mirren last win at Tynecastle? Because I was like, it's 2013.
Was it A, Connor Newton? Was it B, Kenny McLean? Was it C, Paul McGowan? Or was it D, Stephen Thompson?
Well, the answer I thought it was isn't one of the options.
Nice.
I was going to say Goncalves. Just because I can't stand him, I'm going to assume it's him, Stephen Thompson.
Go on. Oh, I thought you were going to say Paul McGowan.
No.
Because Paul McGowan is the correct answer.
I thought Paul McGowan even played for them.
Oh, mate, that tragic. I mean, he probably had hair back then.
Yeah,
somewhat decent Barnet, maybe. Yeah. Second question. St Mirren are one of how many Scottish Premiership sides that Lawrence Shankland hasn't scored against this season?
Right. He's not scored against Livy. He's scored against Celtic. I don't think he scored against Rangers. Or am I missing something really obvious? Right, so that's in my head. I don't think he scored against Rangers. So Livy, Rangers, scored against Hibs, scored against Celtic. Has he scored against Aberdeen? Did he score in the 5-0? We'll bench Aberdeen for a second to try and work it out. I can't remember if he scored against Ross County. He scored against Motherwell. He scored against Dundee United. He scored against... I'm going to guess 3.
Is the correct answer. Very good.
Who are they? I don't know who they are.
Livingston and Rangers and St Mirren.
Also, it's just impressive. Not them.
Just
wow.
Those 3.
Okay. Wow.
Everybody else, very impressive.
Oh, he did score against Aberdeen because he did the thing celebration. Yeah.
And Ross County, I think, did he score the equaliser and Halliday scored the winner?
Did.
Or vice versa?
Yeah, of course.
There you go. So good. Well done, mate. Nearly fell into the trap there, but that was
not
impressive.
Getting a 0. Come on.
Exactly. One at the worst. Love that. I had to include a Michael Smith question, given that he is just the absolute GOAT. Michael Smith made his 200th Hearts appearance on Saturday, but how many clean sheets have the Jambos kept in that 200? Is it A, 50? Is it B, 55? Is it C, 60? Or is it D, 65?
I thought you were going to ask how many goals he scored, because the answer's 6.
Nice. You probably leapt on him for a first goal on at least 4 or 5 of them.
No, all of them. I've literally every single game he scored first. I've had them. What was it? 50, 55, 60, 65?
Yeah.
I'm going 55.
The correct answer is 65.
Fair play!
200. I think of the shite that he's been in and amongst. That's impressive. We do not deserve that.
I saw a formation the day where he was the middle centre-half in a back 3. We better in it. What's going on? Brandon was the left centre-half. What is that?
Honestly, I'm going to miss that bloke.
Same.
I wish you could have seen him in his prime.
Exactly.
Oh. Right. True or false?
Oh, God.
Former Hearts loanee Tony Watt has only scored once against the Jambos in his professional career.
I can't think of him ever scoring against us.
Interesting.
I'm going to say false because I don't think he ever has.
Well played, McIver. Well played. Correct.
Yes! Come on. I remember thinking that when he got brought off. I was like, has he ever scored against us?
Well, I did my research earlier. As far as I can see, he's not.
Yeah, I don't have any memories of him.
Yeah, I don't recall it either. No doubt London Hearts or Heart Stats or somebody going, do you remember this?
He's actually scored 8 goals against us.
Including in 5 consecutive appearances for Celtic.
Exactly.
All right. Finally, the who am I? So you've done all right. Two out of four.
I'll take
That's
it.
all right. And considering that the others, well, your first question was hard.
Yeah, and it's been a long episode. It's been emotional.
That's it. And obviously, like, you don't want to come across as though you're licking Michael Smith's arse too much. Yeah. We both love Michael Smith.
I knew the answer. I just didn't want to give it.
A ridiculous feat. I know. Yeah. I had to get that in there. Yeah. Right. Your who am I? I was the first player that was born after the Premier League was formed to start a Premier League match, playing for Portsmouth against Aston Villa. My senior career saw me play in England, obviously, Germany and Denmark before moving to Scotland and being sold to a Polish team before currently playing in Germany. My Hearts career lasted all of 4 months, where I made 16 appearances, 15 starts, but I contributed no goals, assists, and wasn't even carded. Who am I?
What? See, when you said the very first clue, I went, Glenn Johnson's never played for us. I don't know why Glenn Johnson came out of my head. Was Glenn Johnson ever at Portsmouth?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, was he at Villa?
Don't know.
No, I know he was at Stoke and Liverpool. Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. But Glenn Johnson did not feature that. Right, I need to know when this guy played because it's a 4-month window. So between what season did he play? Because surely he only played for one season if he was only here for 4 months.
The 2016-17 season.
That is a terrible time for you to say. That is the worst possible answer for you to have given. Because the only person that's in my head...
You've still got another question. Go on.
The only person that's in my head doesn't work because I just have Bjorn Jonsson in my head.
Right.
Okay. He scored. I remember him scoring goals.
I would like to think... I literally think he marked his debut with an assist for Sam.
Yeah. And I think he was definitely here for like a season.
Yeah.
Or did he join in the January?
Yeah, Robbie signed him, and then Cathro was the one to let him go. No?
Yes, Yeah. So he was here for so it's no Bjorn Jonsson, right? I've got another question. So 16-17. So if he was here so he must have signed in the January. If he's only here for like that short amount of time, I don't know a single player we signed in that January window.
God knows how this geezer popped into my head, can I just say?
No, I was going to go, is it Robbie Muirhead? But he had that Rangers game, obviously.
The GOAT.
Yeah. Who now just scores rakers, apparently. That's his only MO at Morton.
I tell you what, he's actually turned somewhat prolific for Morton.
I know, it's mental. There's no point in me asking clubs, because you've given me a couple of clubs and it hasn't rung any bells.
And I've given you countries as well, and what use is that, really?
Nothing has happened there. Another one is someone that I've already used, because I've used Augustin before.
Yeah, I can tell you it's not Blasey Augustin.
And he, I think, signed in the summer as well.
I don't remember him playing for Pompey either.
No. Oh, yeah, that's true.
I certainly don't remember this man playing for Pompey, because I quite like Portsmouth. I've got a wee soft spot.
Try and think. I'm either going to ask what position was he, but because I feel like the fact that you've mentioned goals and assists, it's like, is that important though, or are you doing that to throw me? Because it's like that. But I don't know what an alternative question to ask, because there's no point in asking clubs. There's no point in asking nationality, or is there? Unless there's a nation that's meant. Did you say the nation and Did you say his nation?
No. Do you want me to read them again?
Yeah.
I was the first player that was born after the Premier League was formed to start a Premier League match, playing for Portsmouth against Aston Villa. My senior career saw me play in England, obviously, Germany and Denmark, before moving to Scotland and being sold to a Polish team before currently playing in Germany. My Hearts career lasted all of 4 months, where I made 16 appearances, 15 starts, but I contributed no goals, assists, and wasn't even carded.
So he would have been about 22, 23 when he was at us. Roughly. If he was born after I think you mean the English Premier League.
The English Premier League,
yeah.
So hence we specifying about Pompey and...
Oh, yeah, of course. So that's like 92, 93. So if he's born after that, he must be in his late, like, very early 20s. Kind of at the latest. The other name was Christian Novak, but he scored in the Rangers 4-0. I'm going to ask his nationality.
Okay.
If you say Scottish, I'm going to kill you.
He's not Scottish.
Okay.
He's German, having played for the under-16s, under-18s, and under-19s.
Who's a German that was... German is not who I expected you to say. Oh!
Oh, the cogs looked as though they were turning.
I have one answer.
Spark.
I can't remember if he is German or not.
Right,
but
okay.
I think he is. And he wouldn't have scored and he wouldn't have got assists because he wouldn't be in a position to.
Okay.
I'm not going to drag it out. Is it Leonard Soa?
Oh, very good. Very good.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good.
Get in.
Very good.
I was like, I really could remember him being German.
I have no idea why he popped in my head. I think it's because the gaffer was a fullback. I just thought of a rank fullback.
He's one of the worst signings Neilson ever made.
No, I think he was a Cathro, was he not?
Oh, he was.
Because Cathro had come in.
Yeah, he
Robbie
was.
left in November.
Yeah, he was. Of course. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, rotten. So on the 18th of April 2010, playing against Aston Villa, Soa became the first player born after the Premier League was formed to start a Premier League match. He was born 8 days after the first Premier League matches were born. Wow. There you go. So 92, and he joined Hearts at 25 in 2017. So you weren't far off.
So I was not that far off. So that's now 14-6 to me.
I'm fucking fuming you got that, can I just say?
I'm
the
buzzing.
Nationality, as soon as you said that you've got someone in mind, I was like, oh, here we go.
I'm like, how many Germans have we had, period, for us?
I've got to be honest, I was hoping that you would ask something else. I don't know. I hope that you love the club's questions. So I thought maybe he might, but again, it's of no use.
Yeah. I'm just too good at this, mate.
It's really, really infuriating.
Well, I wonder if anybody else got it. Because I feel like that's either one that people will get quicker than me or they won't get at all.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't blame a lot of folk if they tried to forget that he even played for us.
Yeah, that's fair. He was at Hamilton as well, eh?
Hamilton, that's right. Because I even worded it where it was like before moving to Scotland. Whereas I thought, might you forget?
You try to be cheeky and it backfires.
I'm trying. It always backfires. I know. Yeah. I just need to be harder, need to be solid. Need these to be nigh on impossible.
I can't even remember who I did last week. That's how hard it needs to be for you. David somebody.
Oh, Kucharski.
Yeah, that's what you need. You need that.
Yeah, I need some jobber that.
In fairness, you picked a guy who played for 4 months.
Yeah, I know. That's true. That's true. But in the years, I know.
Yeah. Ask good questions. It's one of those where it's like, if I'd asked different questions,
I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't. Yeah. I know.
Well, let us know if you got it, and let us know your thoughts on this longer episode, your thoughts on
very long.
Everything we've discussed. We hope you have enjoyed it. We hope it's been therapy for some of you. Some of you, I imagine, because of the topic, will think we're both totally right, and some of you will think we're totally wrong. We'd love to hear from all of you, and you can get in contact with us at Perth Paisley on all forms of social media. If you have enjoyed it, please leave a review on your podcast platform of choice. And if you've been watching this, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. We're also perthpaisley@gmail.com if you want to fire us over an opinion with any managerial offers that you think should be coming in. Adam, where can they get you on social media?
They can get me on all the socials at Adam T. Kendall. On What About Yourself, mate?
I'm at DMcIver22. We'll be back next week to review Stephen Naismith's first game in charge in the Edinburgh Derby, any potential updates on managerial decisions, and anything else that happens. But until then, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.